Order. Question number 2, Paul Goldsmith.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance and asks, what progress is the government making in achieving its goal of returning to surplus next year, fiscal surplus next year?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, the budget next month will confirm the government remains on track to return to surplus next year. This will be the first of ongoing and increasing surpluses, provided we stick to the current program. The financial statements for the 8 months to February were issued yesterday, showing that spending is under control but revenue is below forecast for this year. The deficit for the 8 months was around $880 million larger than forecast in December. While revenue was 5% higher than at the same time last year, it was still around $1 billion lower than forecast. This will be factored into the budget next month, reinforcing the need for ongoing control of government spending.
Supplementary question, Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, why will it remain important for the government to maintain fiscal discipline even after the Crown's accounts return to surplus?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, the first reason, Mr. Speaker, is that we shouldn't, of course, be wasting taxpayers' money, and given that this government has developed much more thoughtful ways of spending government money, we should stick to that. Secondly, we want to make sure we don't put extra pressure on interest rates. The Reserve Bank has already started to raise interest rates from 50-year lows towards more neutral levels. Keeping government spending under control means that over the course of the interest rate cycle, interest rates will be lower than they would otherwise be. The government wants to avoid the mistakes of the previous cycle, when a 50% jump in government spending under the previous Labor government led to first mortgage rates of close to 11%. Households and businesses simply couldn't carry that burden this time.
Supplementary
question, Paul Goldsmith.
Supplementary to the Minister. What will be the government's approach to allocating new spending in the budget next month and in future years?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the government's approach is to examine critically each of its interventions and to ensure that any new spending shows a clear payoff. A good example would be the fairly significant commitment to increasing the quality of teaching, with a view that we will gain a clear payoff of more children reaching national standards and higher levels of achievement in our secondary schools. And we found that if we take that robust approach, many propositions that people have simply don't add up to a good use of taxpayers' money.
Supplementary question, Honourable David Parker.
Did he say in 2008, quotes, "This is the rainy day government has been saving for," after Labor ran 9 budget surpluses and reduced net government debt to zero? And can he confirm his government has since borrowed over $50 billion?
Order. Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I did say that. And what the member left out of his little story is that in the last Labor budget of 2008, they forecast a surplus of $1.3 billion. What actually happened was a deficit of over $3 billion, plus forecasts of a decade of deficits and a blowout in government debt. We're very pleased this government's been able to get that financial wreckage under control.
Supplementary question, Paul Goldsmith.
To the Minister, as part of its wider economic program, what progress has the government made in reducing previous increases in government spending?
Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, if I could just use one measure of progress, following the previous government's final budget in 2008, since that seems to be where they prefer to fight their political battles, core Crown expenses jumped $7 billion just in that budget. Just in that budget. This left a deficit of $3.9 billion in the last year. Since then, under the discipline of the current National-led government, spending has increased by only 13% over 5 budgets, compared to a 12% increase in just the one budget in 2008. We're very pleased to be off that track.
Question number 3, Chris Hipkins.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister of Education.